Welcome back to the wonderful wide world of Pokemon. I am, of course, Meelz. I am here with JG Akotsu himself,
Yo,
and I'm here with Big Gucci Pafif.
I told you I leaked all that stuff, and everyone said that's not true. None of it's gonna happen. It's me, man. I was right about all that shit.
you're the leaker. It was all correct, bro. You got it all right.
You nailed it.
Nailed
it, Pat. It's episode 31 of the Mount Silver podcast. Shout out to us reaching 31 episodes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, baby.
It's
Incredible.
3 years. This is our second region, your second game that we're like covering like in full.
Yeah, which is wild
Three
too.
posts and stuff like that. Is this? You know what? I don't want to ask if this is exceeding your thoughts on like Sword and Shield because I don't remember too much about like Sword and Shield. I remember a bunch of leaks. I remember us. I remember. I'm using air quotes. Open world.
Right.
I remember other things, but I don't know if I remember the news about this coming out so damn slow. Like, I feel like we got a good amount of news this time, but I feel like we should have more news by now.
Yeah, I think because it was like the new model or like the new game. Everything was still so like it was fresh as far as like what Pokemon was doing. So the stuff we were getting, I think it held us off a little bit better just because it was so fresh, and it was just really just a tastemaker for this project. So I think that might be why like it seems like we got more because I guess it was just newer. I mean, this game is it's just short and sealed kind of base, and then everything else is just open. So I don't know, maybe that's why it seems that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem like the difference between like red and blue to gold and silver. But there was some stuff that was interesting about it to me. Is like I think almost every game that's come out recently. We've talked about how I feel like every game is like a half step with these guys, even the big games at this point.
Sure.
Which isn't necessarily bad, but I think as I think we all play different types of games that are not Pokemon. But I think we all have become used to like outside of this franchise, a new game in a franchise is usually pretty revelatory or whatever. But because there's probably, I mean, you can say what you want about like Mario or whatever, but there's probably no game franchise or Fortnite maybe, whatever. I couldn't know. I know nothing about Fortnite. But this is the biggest game franchise in the world, and so they just don't. I mean, this is all stuff we've talked about, but they feel like they have to play it safe, and they feel like they know if it ain't broke, but.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Sword and Shield. Like Sword and Shield, like they said, it's going to be open world, and it was kind of open world, but it was open world in the sense that it was open world for a Pokemon game. And the same was basically true with Arceus. Now they're saying maybe this one's even more open world, but I don't know. At this point, are we at like a 75-85% of an open world universe in any other game? Like I know this shit isn't going to be Elden Ring.
Yeah, I know, right? But considering no borders and kind of going where you want to go, I think
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be as close as it's going to be as close probably as we'll get to fully open world, and I think we'll probably accomplish for the most part. Like we'll be happy with it as far as like being able to do what you want to do, because I want to be able to text you guys, and maybe we're all three of us are in different places, and that's dope. At least for completing the story, whatever it consists of. So I don't know, man. I'm the open world thing. I don't even really want to like. I hear what they're saying. I see that it's supposed to be more free, like at least when what we got in past few years. But we'll see.
Yeah, and graphically, they're not taking any huge leaps, which makes the worlds look similar anyway. So what will it like? Okay, so we can do this in any order, and I don't want to get too far ahead here, but so you can do it in any order. So what? What is getting an open world actually going to do for this franchise?
Right. No, that's a real question, because there still could be clear path choices that you have to make at individual points in the game, and that doesn't really make it open world if it's like that, you know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I don't know. Like I'm curious about like these like side quests. Will the side quests kind of keep you in a rhythm and it's not fully? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, it looks like, you know, we spoke about the leaks a few weeks ago, and obviously we got the event and the new trailer. So there's a lot to talk about, and we may be there, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
And I would say, just, I know Meelz wants to ask another question, but just bitching a little more about the open world thing. Like,
Yeah.
there have been, like, look at, I don't know, Zelda games on the 64 were not open world games, but open world games didn't necessarily exist in the late 90s in that capacity. So let's call something like, you know, Majora's Mask, one of the last games that came out on 64. That was, for all intents and purposes, an open world game. You could do a lot of stuff out of order, especially the side quests, but you still basically had to do it in the...
There was a rhythm.
In the game's story. And, you know, 25 years later, Elden Ring comes out, and it was probably the greatest game I've ever played, and it was truly open world. But everybody mostly still played the game in the same order. Like,
sure.
Everything...
There's still a process.
Yeah, there's almost no games where every single thing scales with your ability, which means that there's always going to be a way to play it in the order that, in some version of the order that they designed it. And the way that applies to Pokemon, I feel like makes open world games almost not even a thing. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but I don't know what it's going to do.
I love this discussion because my first question was Team Orange or Team Berries. So it's very worthwhile whether we're going to, how we're moving towards this game or through this game. Did anything, okay, so of course we're introduced at the beginning of this game. Let's get into the actual game itself. And we're introduced in the beginning. They're introduced kind of like how we're going to use these legendaries for the game. And it seems like for the first time, like the legendaries aren't necessarily going to be like this big thing that's at the end of the game for us to reach and kind of like attain. And then, to be honest, 75% of the game is over and you don't really have any use for them.
Sure.
So they introduced kind of Koraidon and Miraidon, the two box legendaries for this game, and they introduced how they're going to be used, and they're pretty much used as whatever, you know, in Arceus it was random Pokemon. This is kind of like a one-stop shop of like, okay, this is how you're going to travel, fly, swim, climb, all these other things through these legendaries. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I've mixed thoughts on it in terms of like, okay, these are what they're for. Like, do they have a bigger, grander purpose? I mean, you see them standing up on their 2 feet, so obviously they have some sort of like attack form or something along those lines.
Right. They'll probably be battle capable. Just won't be till, you know, you climax of your story or whatever, you know.
But by the time, will I just be like, shut up and let me ride you, or?
Well, I guess it depends. I didn't put too much thought into it because I've never been the type anyways to kind of like use legendary Pokemon, because at that point in the game you've accomplished what you need to accomplish by the time you get to use them anyways. Or like even like back in the day with legendary birds, like you may have brought one or something with you to whatever, but it wasn't like necessarily your team. So I think maybe they see that finally. I mean, I don't know. I feel like pure Pokemon fans aren't necessarily running with legendary Pokemon, so for them to give them to us pretty early in the game,
no one ever has. I feel like no one has ever ran with.
They're like, you know, I know they're set on a pedestal, but there's like this underlying rule with players, like, you know, like don't even try to battle me with them or whatever the case may be, and it has like this mystique. But giving them to us so early in the game and using them as like the mechanical tool to fly, whatever, swim. Okay, so I don't hate it, but I got to be the one to question like the mechanics of like how these things are created and them being specific for the region, and like I just feel like it kind of corrupts the overall like history of Pokemon. Like I just think it's like it's a weird concept. I can turn my head to like Pokemon shaped as ice cream and like whatever, but you know, being able to just ride them throughout your story is fine. It's cool. Like I don't hate the idea. I think it's a weird gimmick for like them to be your legendary Pokemon, I guess. But
we're going to talk about weird gimmicks really soon.
Okay, so here we always mention Pokemon that feel like Digimon, and it's always kind of like half joking. This one isn't a joke. These guys are Digimon. Like the wheels are crazy. I don't even hate it, but like it's wild how I'm using the word mechanical. That's probably the stupidest word I could use to describe them, but they're like, these mechanical things. But on the other hand, I do like that it's the first time since Red and Blue, and actually I guess definitely since Yellow, that that it's not like, even if these are legendaries, we're getting them at the beginning of the game. And for all intents and purposes, Blastoise and Charizard are as strong as any legendary by the time you face the legendaries in those other games. So I do think that's cool. And honestly, they probably would have been better served not basing the genres on legendaries specifically. Like, and it's weird that they didn't realize that, because once they start releasing Crystal and Emerald and Platinum, it's like, oh, so there is like a single version of this that you could do. So that's kind of weird. But so I like that, it's like, okay, so these aren't something you're building up towards to the whole game that you're never going to get to use. They're like actually integral to the plot of the game.
Sure.
But it is really weird, the design. It was startling.
Waters them down a little bit to me. And I wasn't the one that like hated the initial designs in the first place, but I just wanted to know what the whole thing was about it.
If you're writing these, everybody else writing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here's actually another good thing is I think it's cool that like you no longer have to get the ability to summon different Pokemon over the course of the game. Like it's just one guy who does all the shit. That makes way more sense to me.
Like quality over on quality of life.
Yeah, and I'm asking less questions like, so do I just have like a weird deer hanging around who doesn't battle with me, but he does let me ride him? Like that doesn't make any sense. So it's
isn't it weird to like be in a strange situation and you're riding around these legendary Pokemon? What if the story leads you in this really crazy dark situation and you need this legendary Pokemon, but you can't use it. You can only ride it. It can't help you out. And I think that's a little, I don't know. I just think it's a little confusing.
It's not what in a writer's room we would call clean. It's not a straight line from A to B, which is what the best version of everything is. You don't want to be like, this is kind of weird. And I'm going to bring this up later again when we talk about the crystal versions of Pokemon. But anyway.
No, I agree. And there's a ton of different stuff going on with this. Let's see. Let's get into. There's additional new Pokemon also featured into the region. We have. All right. Let me get everyone's thoughts on these as we're doing this. Fido. Thoughts on Fido? Looks delicious.
Fido looks great. I mean, maybe the one thing that I am up about is the new generation of Pokemon. I'm actually pretty. I have a pretty positive like vibe on all of them.
I like the designs I've seen too.
I agree. I mean, so we have Fido, we have Cetitan, which is a whale on 2 feet.
The feet is weird.
That's a diamond. I would have preferred it just floated. Pokemon.
Yeah, it could have just floated for me, and I would have been cool, But it's fine. I don't hate it.
It makes it look like a children's like it's like a guy in a
from
costume.
Fucking Toy Story, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining. And of course, we have the new form, Paldea and Wooper. Thoughts on Paldea and Wooper? The internet actually called Pooper.
I mean, I like it, man.
That's
like
that's the Manerier Wooper.
I think it looks cool. honestly.
I like him. I like him.
Quagsire deserves some love, so I'm hoping the new Quagsire evolution is dope too.
Hopefully, it was a top hat or something.
Yeah.
That would be
It's
sick.
it's a poison and ground. Its ability is poison point and water absorb, which is interesting for a ground type.
That's tight.
They live, according to Pokemon.com, they live on the land, cover their bodies in poisonous film. It says in ancient times, because there's lore with every Pokemon from a different region. In ancient times, Wooper lived underwater in the Paldea region, but it seems after losing a struggle in its territory, with who, I have no idea, maybe we'll be introduced to said Pokemon, they began living in bogs on land. To keep from drying out while living on land, they began to cover their body with poisonous film. These Wooper's gills have hardened thanks to living on land so long. Their bodies are heavy, they move slowly, but they can protect themselves by shooting poisonous liquid from their gills. You may see poison Pokemon in areas where Wooper live. Interesting.
Hey man, it's like what Pat said about the writers' room shit. Like this, the Pokedex entry is the one thing that they don't play games with.
Yeah.
Like they make sure they give you extra information that you're really never gonna need about its wildlife activity.
Yeah, I feel like most of the canon info is in the Pokedex.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. All right, so from there, we're introduced to the Paldea region. I don't know if we saw this just a couple hours ago, so we're recording this pretty much the day before it comes out. Just a couple of hours ago, Austin John Plays kind of put out a video about the Paldea region. He took the map and he zoomed in and he incorporated all the trailer footage that they showed of whatever various areas. This is a huge ass region. There's shit in this region.
Yeah.
Like and before we get into kind of like talking about like a couple various things of this region, favorite region? Any particular favorite region that has occurred?
I don't want to be that guy, but I still feel like I don't know, like Kanto is like those regions.
Kanto's the best, man. It's so good.
Just so good, and I don't want to be that person. It's tough, but
they don't even have a skyscraper. They don't even have a tower. Don't even.
Here's what I love about. I think the thing I love about Kanto is actually just more something I love about Red versus Blue more than it's actually something about the Kanto region itself, which is that because they are. I mean, at this point, they feel like rudimentary games, like where they have Lieutenant Surge talking about this old war and a con artist selling you a Magikarp, and they just have more weirdness and intrigue than the later games would have because the franchise would just become more of itself. But the early weirdness that Kanto, and because of that, Johto has a little bit. And I think we can all agree there's nothing better in the whole world than when you go from Johto back to Kanto. Like that's the best.
It worked. Perfect.
That's so good.
No, it's amazing, but I feel like Pokemon would be incredibly disappointed if they crafted all these regions, did all this topographic analysis and research, and was like, I like the Kanto region. It's simple. I go from one town to
I know, but at the same time, I don't know if they're making regions for us nowadays either.
Yeah.
I don't think these regions are like for us from '97.
The Kanto region that exists in my head, I would say also, maybe this is a crazy thing to say, but it's not the Kanto region that exists in the game, or at least not in Red versus Blue. Like when I think about Kanto, I am thinking about it through the lens of the game, but I'm also thinking about, the anime, and I'm putting stuff that has come out since. I'm putting newer designs in my mind. I'm taking those and reapplying them back to Kanto.
It's tough.
So, it is hard to do, because again, literally 25 years ago.
Yeah, which is wild.
I'm a big Unova guy, so
Univa's hard. Univa's hard as fuck. I'm not gonna. I can't say it's not.
Even like the worst regions are not, I would say, like quote unquote bad. The game has been successful because it's been well designed, if too consistently designed, not bad.
Well, the most critical, the one that's gotten the most hate, is definitely the Hoenn region, but that's because they have water.
The water,
and it's really like half water. Like you look at the map for the Hoenn region, and the upper half is land, and the second half is water, and it's like that I mean, there's no qualms about that. The Paldea region, they made sure, okay, it's an island ish, like pretty much, kind of, yeah. No, it's definitely an island. It's surrounded by water, unless that cloud is blocking some like DLC or some shit
Never
like
know.
that. Um,
Never know.
a cloud blocking. That's the DLC right there. It's under the cloud. Um, but it's expansive. There's this big giant circular shit in the middle that we're all questioning about. Certainly danger is lurking
Of
there.
course.
Let's see. I'm looking all around. I mean, there are resorts, there are gyms, there are lighthouses, there's whatever that farm that makes like either berries or things for wine. There's mountains. There's always an ice mountain. It's never just like ice is never like flat or like its own glacier. It's always high and
Yeah,
disgusting.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like the region doesn't look impressive because it's Pokemon, and I think it is hard to like put everything else aside and just say that because yeah, like you said, Pat, the games are normally designed pretty well, even with the backlash of like some regions, like it's still done to like a degree, but I this one looks really massive and it looks like they're trying to make it a little bit more interactive with like everything, which I think you just have to
Yeah,
get to. It reminds me of like this is totally outside of the realm of Pokemon, but like there was some like GTA 6 info that came out and you know Rockstar has said like, oh, you'll be able to walk into a lot more buildings, like not just random things that are just there for aesthetic purposes. And I feel
yeah,
like Pokemon is trying to give you more of like, okay, look, yeah, there's all these places you can go into. Hopefully they actually mean something and they're not just in there for you to click A on and talk to somebody about their child who is off training or whatever, like something that actually has
yeah. Like
something
you
inside of it.
walk in and there's two people. There's a woman in there and she says, "My Farfetch'd has a great personality," and then you can walk over and the
And you go,
Farfetch says, "Ah, that's," and then you
that's
leave
it.
the building.
That's it. And
Yeah,
I know we're gonna get that. I know that's still gonna be in the game, but having more interactions, something that may lead to a side quest or things like that. It looks like they're stepping into more of that realm, which they absolutely need. I know they gave us the quests in this last gym, but they were pretty much just petty quests to complete the game, and they didn't really
yeah.
necessarily mean anything. A lot of them were very silly and stupid. So I don't know. I want that cleared up, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't look impressive as far as like size and things to do.
Uh, to be honest with you, it absolutely looks like probably those quests are back because they have introduced, in terms of the story of this game, they said there are kind of like three paths you can follow. And they say you can go do gyms, and there's 8 of them. You know how much you guys like 8 gyms. You took
Hey,
away gyms.
we
You know
needed it
what?
though. We needed it.
They're right. I love 8 gyms.
We need the 8 gems back. Period.
There is also a number of quests that you can do, which I assume is the same thing as Legend Arceus. To be honest with you, I think they noted it as like there are things you can do to explore the region and even like see different Pokemon and stuff like that, which
Right.
tipped off to me. Okay, you might be doing the Arceus thing, where I gotta go, what's an Italian name? I don't know. I don't know.
Luigi.
Yeah, there we go. Luigi wants to see two, Whooper and one bigger and one smaller, and
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
have to go
Don't
see
Yeah.
make
what.
me catch 3 Pidgeys, 4 Pidgeys, bro. I'm not trying to do that.
No, not at
But
all. But the Pidgeys have gone extinct. I haven't seen that in a game in years.
yeah. Ever since Pidgeot got that mega, it was pretty much over for Pidgey.
Absolutely. And they don't even want you whispering megas around this game anymore.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I'm not
Oh, we're gonna
leaving this
talk
show
about it.
today without speaking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely sounds like the task in Arceus, but there are the 8 gyms that you can go to apparently in any order. Not sure what that means for you. Not sure what that means for your Pokemon. Not sure what that means for your friendships.
Yeah, I think the levels. I think they automate based off which one you go to first. From what the leakers
They
said.
don't. I've heard they don't.
Oh, that would be crazy.
um, Another quick thing: co-op.
I believe it when I see it. I literally I have nothing to say about Nintendo's online capabilities and being able to play with other people. I'm not even going there with you,
Okay,
bro.
here's what I will say. It. I think I'm hearing myself too from somebody, so maybe I'm screaming. Um, the feature on Sword and Shield of the multiplayer was incredibly frustrating. And walking around waiting for your stupid bullshit to refresh so you could play with the one friend who's sitting next to you on the couch anyway, I hated that. It was incredibly annoying. But I did like the rating aspect in Sword and Shield a lot. That being said, when Monster Hunter came out at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like the Switch version. It was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know Nintendo could do online stuff like this. Like, this is like a modern version of online gaming. They're not supposed to be in this decade yet. And
Wait, explain me.
you could just set up a like a password. You could turn multiplayer on, set up a password, and like immediately have 3 of your friends in your game doing
like raiding
a monster
with
takedown.
like killing monsters.
Yeah, raiding. Yeah, and like a real raid, not like a turn-based, slow as hell thing like Pokemon, like a full-on 4 guys fighting a giant monster.
You have control over your character running around in like a world that's like half open.
Yeah, and also graphically probably some of the best the Switch has done. Leaps and bounds ahead of anything Pokemon I'm sure is even considering. Not that they're going for a realistic graphic style, but when Monster Hunter came out, it was like, oh, I didn't know the Switch could do this. And I think that feature that like you can, whatever they said in the trailer for Pokemon, that you can play with 3 friends like right away. I would love that. I'm hoping they just stole the Monster Hunter technology to make it happen. Because God, I hated that Sword and Shield system they used. I know. I'm not.
I just don't. I think it's a Pokemon thing a lot. Like I know because I know Nintendo has the capability because I've played Animal Crossing and Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and all that shit, but Monster Hunter as well. But I don't know. They're so like, what can I do with my friends? Really, like what am I supposed to do out here with them on my map? I don't know how much. It's like if they're just putting it in the game for us to see each other and like catch stuff, that's one thing. But can I do the whole story with them?
They haven't solved the main problem, which is what happens when your friends stop playing the game. And there's still these exclusive Pokemon. There's like, oh, you can get stronger these type of Pokemon if these Terra Pokemon, which we'll talk about in a bit, with your friends and stuff like that. But like, what happens when your friend beats the game and they have to go on with their lives? They're not really interested in any of it.
Sure.
Like, how do you like? Of course,
you're level 30, they're level 60. What do you do?
Yeah. And you can thing with 3 random people, sure, but it's not as fun. And after a while, it's end up like you're cycling with the computer, to be honest with you. And if it's anything like computer in Sword and Shield with that one fucker with the Magikarp, you're not going to have fun while doing it. That one fucker with the Magikarp, the one fucker with the Eevee with the helping hand, the people who brought nothing to the table, and you still
NPC like things is just so weird.
Yeah. So hopefully they fix the NPC problem. Please don't have them bring in just Eevees and Pikachus and Clefairies and all types of other shit.
I'm not asking them to be competitive and have like all these fucking moves that like you only see playing VGC, but I just want to like
how about they're as good as like a GoldenEye bot? That would be nice.
Yeah,
just like a little bit good.
Seriously.
Oh my god. So I mean, co-op is again their attempt for like, please play with friends. Pokemon has always been about friends. Please play with people. Learn new people. Explore with your friends. Please. We don't want this to just be a game you play by yourself. But realistically, about 95% of the game you just play by yourself. Characters. I'll be honest with you. Beyond the looks of these people, I could give a damn about characters in any of the Pokemon games because
they don't have any person. I mean, we don't know what they sound like. We don't relate to them in any type of way because they don't seem human.
Real? Yeah.
No, I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Design, shit, bro. They've been killing designs for years. Let's just be real here as far as like from like character wise, like fits. I think they get the culture and wanting to make sure that the fashion looks like the region, so they always kill that. Past all this that you said earlier, the hairline. I mean, yeah, they be getting that shit done. But
Yeah,
as far as having any type of like ties or emotional ties to the character and what they're going through, yeah, there's nothing at all.
I don't even remember characters from these games after I stopped. Like I probably remember the professor. I remember what's his name? N. I remember
Yeah,
him.
N blew up, but
Yeah.
That's
again,
what I was
that's
you.
different though. Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
And
that's I'm
then
gonna ask you what's the lasting memory that you've had with a character in the game, like the last real character that you
it
remember.
was N actually. I
it was
mean,
either N. It was in N. It was N because this it was from the same. It was which game was N? N was in
N was he was
uh
white
Black,
and black,
yeah.
black and
So
white, yeah.
then
black and white.
wasn't that your your friend who loved food and he was like always what's his name? How?
Oh,
What the fuck is
no,
this
How was
guy's
from
name?
the lowland region, I think.
Okay, yes, he was that guy. That I remember him. But only because he was one of the most annoying characters they ever
Well,
created.
let's not forget Hop.
Oh yes, okay, good, fair point.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ. But no, I
yeah,
mean, N was also in the anime predominantly like major, so like I feel like us
okay,
remembering him, it stretches further than like the game.
yeah,
But I don't know, bro. I don't. It's like Mill said. They're not really memorable. Obviously, the first two generations, we know those characters because I mean, we were there. We were in the thick of it. Now it's like they don't really
yeah.
matter. It doesn't really mean
And
anything. So
we like the amount we played red and blue and gold and silver like compared to these like I mean red and blue I just must have poured hundreds and hundreds of hours
yeah,
into and the new
yeah,
ones
200,
you play
300
them and that's
hours.
it. Yeah,
80 hours on these new ones, call it a day. 100 hours maybe,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
it.
Youngster Joey is just a guy that you know. You know Youngster Joey. He's the first. He's the
exactly.
first person.
Yeah, yeah. Like he
He's
hasn't grown up yet.
yeah. The guy who calls you on the phone like 80 times in gold and silver tells you about his Venonat that he caught in Route 20.
That's
You remember?
that's bug catcher Todd.
That's right.
There you go. These guys, not sure to be honest with you. They're all various. I'm wondering if there's going to be a character that's like descended from what was the Arceus region called? Fuck.
I don't even remember.
It's Sin. It's not Sinnoh. No, it
No.
is. Let's see. Oh, why did I? I typed in Arceus. Of course, they gave me the fucking legendary. It is Hisui region.
Hisui.
Aha. So I'm sure there'll be somebody from the Hisui region or a descendant of or something of the rather, and we won't remember who it is. We're like, oh, that's that guy. Let's see. Look the way you want to. They're touting much bigger customization, such as eye shape, mouth shape, and eyebrows. In my notes, I was closer and closer to 21st century customization.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We'll never be. I mean, changing face structures and stuff like Pokemon should have been doing that shit. Let's be real, 10 years ago. And they just.
They don't want you to spend the first 20 minutes of a game trying to figure out like how
I
do I
actually
make
love that.
but you
Am I the only like I love
no,
creating my
I
characters
like it
as soon as I
too. They
start. So
haven't
I don't
they
know.
haven't made a face you can change since when you had to do the thing with Bowser's face and Mario Party.
will face recognition at all on the Switch for any games?
I mean,
Probably
not
not.
like that. No, no. But I mean, you can still you can turn on fucking
It,
Skyrim and like still put your character where you could take hours to do it and it makes sense. But Pokemon is not that type of game. And I mean, look, here's my thing. Like, I think they got a little bit better last year's game, or Arceus with hair. But if you're gonna make me, if I can be black in my game, at least make me look black, bro. Don't just give me like brown skin on a white face. I mean, doesn't help for me.
you're about to get brown skin on a white face or
Oh,
some
you
white
are.
guy
I mean, off top. I know.
with blonde
I
hair.
just remember the hair options being so bad. They're not even that
Oh
good for
God.
white faces. So
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
they
You're
don't
right.
really make any sense.
Bro, I can't get a fade without having Vegeta Whittle peak, man.
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?
And yeah. And it's not like they're not getting fades over there. They know what they look like.
Yeah, they getting
They
phased
know
now.
what a fade is. Come on.
listen.
But
Uh,
hey, the customization has gotten better throughout the years. So I mean, what can I
well,
say?
all the things here are going to be uniform based, so it's going to be uniform. It's not like you're not going to customize like a casual fit. They're all uniform based, so we'll see how that goes. We talked about the story. Okay, let's get into the big cheese of this entire thing. Terrestrial Pokemon, the terrestrial phenomenon. What is the terrestrial phenomenon? It is a phenomenon only found in the Paldea region. How convenient. And
You don't
makes
say.
Pokemon glimmer glimmer like gems. When a Pokemon terrestrializes, a Terra Jewel appears above the Pokemon's head like a crown, and the body glistens like a cut gemstone. It is said that terrestrial energy that seeps from the ground in the Paldea region is involved in the phenomenon. Many details remain unclear, as they always are, but the professors, as they always do, are researching this mystery.
Let me say this real quick, bro. The people that don't like the mechanics of these games or like feel like Pokemon's not doing enough, or like, I just feel like just giving those people more ammunition every year, bro. Every
Yes,
year.
absolutely.
And look, I like new stuff, whatever. Like, obviously I don't want there to be nothing, but I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that they don't hear the outcries of the things that we actually liked in the past and they do nothing about it. I'd rather just go back to doing giant raids. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously we all know what we're here for. We're still waiting for the day where they say, here's mega evolutions. I know it's something that we all liked, and I thought it was really great when it happened, because who doesn't like an extra step of evolution, right?
It doesn't
Yeah,
But
even have
but that's why
to
it's like a natural thing. That's why it makes sense. It's like Super
it's
Saiyan
true.
4 or something like that. You're like, what if there
True.
was just another version, a bigger version, and or the Gigantamax? What if it was just bigger? That makes sense. What if there
This
was
is
another
just a
one? What if it was just bigger?
lazy.
This is so gimmicky. Like even
It's
for a
so gimmicky,
gimmick,
bro.
even
It's
for a
bad.
gimmick.
It's bad. I'm not gonna even. It's bad. Like, I don't.
And
I'm not even interested in the, like, getting to that point of having to use it.
here's what I was saying when I referenced it earlier that I was going to bring it up later in the way that it isn't clean is that there's already a major concept in the Pokemon world of something being shiny. It is so stupid for them to type this around something that is kind of adjacent to that. Because if there's nothing else that people fucking love, it is shiny versions of stuff. So you
Yeah.
should not have the Gigantamax or whatever it is gimmick be something that steps on the toes of shiny Pokemon. I think that's such a bad idea.
I agree. I also just think, like, it makes it worse when, let's say, it's absolutely everything that we don't think it is. Like, let's say it's wonderful. Let's say it's amazing. It doesn't matter. It's not like we're not gonna see it again. And
no,
and I, and
we
I, and that is the habit that I think people get upset about, is when they have a good thing,
uh-huh.
they keep it region locked, like this world isn't
Mm-hmm.
connected in some way, and to me that's weird. I don't see why, you know fucking Z moves. You remember Z moves?
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? What was that?
It feels like the games are actually because of Z moves and Mega Evolutions and Gigantamax. It feels like the games are actually more region locked than the old ones were.
Yeah, they are,
Yeah.
because we didn't have that gimmicky stuff, obviously, the first 4 or 5 generations.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
the
the thing.
biggest
They
difference between those games is HMs.
right.
Hmm.
I feel like they need to kind of accompany the game with a kind of gimmick that makes it an exclusive game on its own. But so when you go back to
Yes.
the thing that kind of like at first it used to be your Pokemon used to follow you. That used to be the gimmick. Oh my god, yes. Oh my god,
That
just
should
like
be that should be a norm.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's going to there is happening in this game,
Yeah.
but it's but then I think after a while, especially after I don't want to say Black and White didn't have a gimmick, um, but I think as the games continue to evolve, they were like, "Oh, okay, let me start incorporating a lot more exclusive thing." And I think once they did the megas and see how popular that was, it's like, "Okay, what's the next step? How can we continue a trend similar like this? But let's not do megas because every Pokemon can't have a mega,
and,
even though
and
we
that,
enjoy
that's
every Pokemon."
true, but
But I think they are continuing to take it step by step. But it's just kind of like to me I'm interested now in like, okay, so where does terastallizing come from? Like, what is the origin? Like, what is the mindset behind this? Like, is it something in Italy that happened, or Greece, or where the hell this thing is, Rome or whatever? Um, how does this actually happen? And I get the gimmick in itself, and I think they managed to make it where it affects just something bigger than just the playthrough of the game.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, typing and stuff of
yeah,
that nature. Yeah.
it affects the
And I would say
meta in a
it also doesn't look bad. Like in a
No,
vacuum
no,
where I'm
it
not pissed
doesn't.
that they made them look like shiny Pokemon, it still looks cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't mind the like chandelier, transparent. Like it's cool. Like the idea itself, I know where they're going with it, but it's still, it doesn't mean anything. Like I mean, we're gonna see it in the anime, and maybe it'll look cool there too. But
no, they're going to sell so many giant stone heads.
no, I mean we're not. I know, bro. I mean, I'm not here to like argue how successful the game is going to be or the merch. Or we already know, but I'm more focused on the fact of what it all means. Like in the
I'm
grand scheme of the world of Pokemon, this is going to hit us over 1,000 Pokemon this series.
I'm telling you what their focus is,
Yeah,
and their
I get that. It's
exactly
ridiculous.
how can we market this game, and also the marketing spread just outside of the game. How do we sell, more plushies, different versions of them? How do we make
People already have
Super
the
Saiyan?
Gigantamax plushie. We
Yeah,
don't need to make Gigantamax in this game.
well, now you have the fourth version of Eevee. How do we make Super Saiyan Blue? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm a Super Saiyan Blue. What about Ultra Instinct? Oh, what about Ultra Ego? What about other? There are different forms to kind of like continue the I guess the business that is Pokemon, and this is how they've continued being a successful business for so long. Now, I don't agree with it because I hate this shit, but I also hated Gigantic. I also still find I think unless you're in the meta, you don't really appreciate it because you never really
You're
use
not
it.
gonna need it
And
unless
you're
you're
Mm-hmm.
really playing competitive. Seriously.
forced to use it, but you don't really like want to use it. And if you can get away with not using it, you probably will.
Yeah.
But the entire game is going to be around, you'll need a Terra Orb to terastallize a Pokemon. And it'll just be one more thing before it's another thing. And then it's going to
Yeah.
be.
Thanks for my flying type Pikachu. Thanks. Appreciate it. I didn't
Who
catch
still
enough in
can't
Pokemon
surf,
Go.
by the way.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a water terra. I'm sure there's one for that too, though. You
No,
know.
of course, it's going to be 80 different Pikachu versions.
Actually, yeah, if you pre-order the game, you get the flying crystal for Pikachu.
Of course.
So, but
Which
I'm not mad
women
at the
get
gimmick.
the
I just think it's really gimmicky.
it's gimmicky where it's like, okay, all right,
It's
well,
unattractive as fuck, bro, honestly.
yeah,
It's a bummer. It's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
it's a bit of a bump.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just say that.
um I don't have anything else to say about this game. I think we've covered everything that in this recent update. Thankfully they gave us an update because
Might be the last one.
without information it might be.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
to be
really might be.
also, I assume with this terastallizing thing there's going to be some um corruption involved with people who want to take advantage of said, terastallizing, who's probably trying to mine it and use it to
Oh
control
yeah, we're
Pokemon.
gonna be hunting now. We're gonna see what's up with it. You know how the
Yeah.
story go.
And also the emote, they flipped it back into raids for whatever reason. So it just it just is what it is at this point. That's the kind of bummer that thing it. But I'll say, I mean, to be honest with you, Paldea region looks good.
It does
If I
look
had a couple pluses, Paldea region looks good. Hooper, Paldean Whooper, I like.
Fido,
eh,
Lechonk, they're looking good.
good. I think they'll get over on us by the amount of Pokemon that like new Pokemon are gonna be in the game. I think that will probably be like the highlight. I really feel like it's gonna be a really good Pokedex.
well, we're tipping over. I'm pretty sure with this region we'll be over 1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's expecting Pokemon to be in this game, but we're not fitting 1,000 Pokemon in this game. So
No, hell no. I mean
I think we're over the
we're over
discussion
that. Yeah.
anger thing from the last region 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But in case anyone was wondering, you're probably not going to get all 1,000 Pokemon.
You don't need them.
No, at this point, and even at this point, the Pokemon themselves are just like, what are we looking at now? That's kind of it for Mount Silver. Let's see. Is there any other Pokemon? Not really. No, I'm not really doing anything, playing anything, watching anything, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to know, in the anime, Ash is the championship arc.
That's tight.
He is facing up against. He's in the arc. It's called the championship round arc. He's facing against every champion of every other region, including the ones that you forgot about.
They're gonna let him win? Is it his time?
Not probably not.
No.
Champion.
His time the second time, you know.
He's the champion of the Alola region, representing his next battle. Actually, probably by the time you hear this, it'll probably be out already. But his next battle is against Cynthia, whose Garchomp is undefeated in the anime. So,
whatever that means. Yeah. What does that mean? Like,
this is what it is, and Leon is the final step. So, where this goes. Thank you guys for tuning in, of course, to the Mount Silver podcast. We'll be back when there's when there's sizable information. Don't give me no bullshit. But
yeah, we heard the mini episode.
Yeah. When there's notable information about this game that could potentially draw us in a new direction. We're not.
We're not.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.